So what should your net worth be when you retire, right? Because I don't know about you, but I'm trying to retire quick, fast, and in a hurry. So we're going to talk about how much money you should have in the bank. And even before you retire, what should your net worth be in your 20s or your 30s, 40s, 50s? We're going to get into all of that and more because you know I got you. Please be sure to stick around to the end because I will be discussing why net worth might not even matter to you. All that and more, so keep it locked. This Crystal with the Cash Compass. Welcome or welcome back. I am here to teach you all the things that you should have learned in school about money, but for some reason the teachers forgot to mention it. I don't want to conspiracize, but I do have some theories. Please be sure to subscribe, and if you really about your money, hit the bell because we talk about everything from personal finance to investing and economics, and I get right into it. All right, let's take it back a step and actually explain what net worth is. And I am doing this because I did a poll on Instagram, and if you're not following me, I mean, what you waiting for? But I did a poll on Instagram and people actually got this answer wrong. So what is net worth? Your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So what you own minus what you owe. Like, let's say you have a car that you paid off in full, right? So that car is yours, it's your asset. Let's say you have student loans, because who doesn't? That's your liabilities. So when you have a negative net worth, that basically means if all your debt was due right now, if Chase, Bank of America, Fannie Mae, whoever was like, give me my money, you would have to sell all your assets and you still would not have enough money to satisfy those debts. When you have a positive net worth, which is, you know, hopefully we're working towards that, if all your debt was due, you could sell what you own, pay off what you owe, and still have some extra to ball out with. So let's look at what they say your net worth should be depending on what age bracket you're on. Now, I chose to go with the median net worth because sometimes if you use averages, it can kind of be skewed by outliers. I'm getting boring. But basically, I think this gives a better representation of what the average person has. So here we go. Here is the chart that shows what your net worth should be depending on what age you're at. So the majority of you guys that watch this channel are under 35, and based on that, you only need a median net worth of $10,000 if you own a home. If you don't own a home, you only need $5,000 and you are in line with the average person. But you're watching this channel, so I know you above average. So as you can see, when people do reach that retirement age around their mid to late 60s, we're showing a median net worth of $200,000, which if you're planning on living for another at least 20 years, I don't know that you'll be able to live off of just that, okay? So this is why I said I don't know that net worth is what you should really be focusing heavily on. And instead, I think you should be focusing on how can I still make money even when I am old and my bones are not working like they used to? We need to unlearn and relearn, because I know we've been told, you know, especially if you have money in a 401k, that, oh, do a traditional route because when you get older, you shouldn't be making as much money, so you'll be in a lower tax bracket. I have a lot of things wrong with that theory, but let's just talk about the main points. Number one, why would I want to make less money the older I get? I mean, I don't know about you, but I want my money to stack up, not down. And number two, how do you know what the tax rate is going to be when 40 years from now? I mean, chances are it might go upwards. I highly doubt that we would be in a lower tax bracket, because next thing you know, the lowest tax bracket will be 30%. We don't know what the future holds. We know what's going on right now, at least. So I don't know about that theory, but my goal is to make more money the older that I get. So when I do retire, I know that I am not throwing my life onto my kid or my other family members to take care of me, because I'm taking care of myself. So how much would you need for retirement? What should your net worth be when you retire? It depends, right? Everybody's situation is different. I can throw a number out there for you. I know a lot of people will say, well, you should have $1 million because if you make 4% on your million and all this math, but the situations are different depending on who you are. What if you have a house that's fully paid off? You don't need as much as somebody who's still renting. What if you have Social Security? There's a whole bunch of different factors, which I wouldn't depend on Social Security, but that's another video for another day. I think when a lot of people think about retirement, they're just thinking, okay, pension, Social Security, and 401k. And when I tell you all those things are in deep doo-doo, I mean that. I will have videos about pensions, 401ks, and all that in detail, but the idea is these things may not be around forever, especially if you are in my age group. If you are in your mid to late 20s, you might not see Social Security, and most people don't even get pensions, right? We went from pensions to kind of that 401k movement. If you are banking on a fixed income, forget about it. Maybe you'll have it, maybe you'll be lucky, right? Things won't take a turn and you'll still get that money. But what people don't seem to understand fully is what inflation does and how it can really erode your wealth, eat away at your purchasing power, and leave you dead, broke, and naked. The government has every incentive to manipulate downward inflation because it makes the economy look better, like we're growing more. It's less money that they have to pay out to people that they've promised money to. So don't focus so heavily on having fixed income. Really focus on kind of building up your own portfolio of assets that you can use when you are ready to fire your boss. So how can we work on doing that? So like I mentioned, asset minus liabilities is your net worth, right? So what side should you be focusing on? If you are younger than 30, please actively focus on the liability piece. Debt holds you down. You cannot do as much as you could do if you were financially free. So be so active while you still have your bones in shape, while you don't have to worry about your thyroid or your legs or your arthritis. Make sure you are paying down that debt, especially credit card debt. We all know credit cards are very vicious, right? And they charge you an ungodly amount of interest. So get rid of that before you're 30. And even if you are older than 30 and you're not debt free, that should be your main focus. You should not be worrying about being so heavily invested in assets and because you have liabilities that are going to be holding you down and holding you back. So if you have credit card debt, which is variable rates, right, get rid of that. I'm not so pressed about student loans because typically they're under like 6% or so. So it's more manageable rather than credit card debts, which are almost always in the double digits. After you are debt free, then you should heavily focus on assets. I'm not saying that you shouldn't focus on assets before then, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you are just still holding on to a whole bunch of debt. And when I say assets, I don't only mean stocks, your 401k, mutual funds. That is all one type of asset, which is intangible. You cannot do nothing with it unless you sell it, or if you have dividends, and that's a little bit different. But it's not just stocks and bonds, okay? It's things that are going to put money into your account all the time. The problem that I have with growth stocks, which is stocks that you buy and then, hopefully it appreciates in value, is that number one, you don't have any control over the company. They can drag somebody out of a plane and next thing you know, stocks plummet, right? But when you have physical assets, things that you have control of, things that you can kind of hold, they're tangible, you can make money from them, then it really puts you in the driver's seat. So why I say net worth doesn't really matter is because I intend on everything that I purchase. I don't have any intentions on selling it. So when I retire, I'm more focused on cash flow versus net worth. Let's say you bought a home at the height of the housing bubble, right? You had no clue. You can't really time the market. Let's say you bought a house, but when you purchased it, you were able to get renters in there and the renters paid for that mortgage. You have an investment property. You have a cash flowing investment property. Even if 2008 were to happen again and now your property is worth half that, if you still have tenants in there and you can still actually afford to get the mortgage paid for and put money in your pocket, well then you might have negative net worth, right? But you still have positive cash flow. So cash flow is more important than net worth, and if you want me to go into more details about that, throw it in the comments and I definitely will. So if you have real estate properties, if you have dividend stocks, stocks that will pay you monthly, quarterly, yearly, stocks that actually pay you to own it. If you have a business like YouTube, a blog, there's so many online businesses right now. I mean, even if it wasn't an online business, there's ways to make money even into your golden years that will still keep you sitting right. I want to heavily stress that your net worth just depends on the kind of lifestyle that you want to live. If you're the person that doesn't want to worry about having cash flow, well then you would need to focus on having dividend stocks that could pay enough that would help, that would satisfy your lifestyle. So let's say you were able to live off of $1,000 a month. Well, whatever you invest in, whatever your portfolio is, it would need to be able to generate $1,000 a month. So how would that look? For the stock market, for example, if you were to have a dividend that paid 7 to 8%, which is I've seen it. I work for a company that pays that, so it's possible. You would basically need to have $160,000 invested in that company. Earning a 7.5% interest would gift you your $1,000 a month. So you have to kind of back into that answer. How much do you need? How much do you think is a reasonable amount to actually earn on whatever you have invested, right? Because we see interest rates are just going down to the ground. I don't see when they will be raising them. It doesn't look like they'll be raising them anytime soon. I will be doing another video on the economy, so please be sure to subscribe, because what you see on TV is just not, it's just not. We're gonna talk about it. Just subscribe. To recap, I feel like this video was slightly all over the place. My kid was awake, but no excuses. Go back to the chart that I posted so you can see what the net worth is and see where you match up. Calculate what you think your expenses are going to be. Are you going to have a paid off house? Are you still going to be renting? There's so many factors that go into it that you have to really sit down and think this through. Then see, well, how much money can I save? Will I be able to retire earlier? If you're in your 20s or your 30s, you have so much time to plan. And even if you aren't, you have a lot of time to still be aggressive, right? You have to just be a little bit more different in your approach as you get older. But it's possible to retire early. It's possible to live a life that you want to live. You just got to calculate that thing. All right, that will do it for this video. If you liked it, then go ahead and give it a like. Please be sure to subscribe and share with your friends. And while you're at it, binge watch me. And until next time, keep your money up.